I'm learning. So today our topic is going to be about funding the very first film, the debut film. And the way that I understand it, you have a movie coming up now in production called La Puerta Verde, which translates to the green door, correct?
It's true.
Yes. So how about maybe you can just start by telling us, we'll start from the ending and backwards. What have you succeeded in terms of the project? Tell us a little bit about the project and the funding that you've gotten.
Okay. Well, thank you, Benjamin, for inviting me. I mean, my name is Guillermo Vejar. All my friends call me Memo, and
Hmm.
I'm from Mexico. I'm from a place called Sinaloa, where it's very in the north of Mexico, that is famous for beautiful women that appear in soap operas and narco cartels. So that's where I'm coming from. And well, I'm a filmmaker. I study in Sarajevo, in ASU, in Akademia Sanski Umjetosni u Sarajevo.
Hmm.
I don't know if you're right.
Yes.
And well, actually, I'm working in my first feature film.
Mm-hmm.
As Benjamin said, it's La Puerta Verde. And it's been a very long process because when you start writing your a film, you never know when it's going to be shoot, but you have to be sure that you're gonna do it someday. So
Hmm.
I mean, if I start thinking when I start wrote it, maybe it was like 10 years ago. So this project, it didn't mean that it has like 10 years working exactly on it. I mean, I started working with the idea, with the script. I I got a prize to rewrite the script in
Hmm.
Venezuela like 7 years ago, something like that. And I
Hmm.
decided to pass the idea of filming in Bosnia because originally this film was going to be filmed in Bosnia.
Hmm.
Then when I went to Venezuela, my advisor, his name is Enel Paz. He's a very famous dramaturg from Cuba. That he's the author of Fresa y Chocolate, a movie that got selected as an Oscar entry, as Cuban
Hmm.
Oscar entry. So he told me like, Memo, I mean, maybe you have to adapt this story to Mexico. I mean, first of all, because it's a very powerful story. I mean, now you're living in Mexico, and it's going to be your first film. I mean, you have to be very connected. I mean, it's very hard to direct in another languages. But I mean, if it's going to be your first film, it's going to be involving kids, so it's going to be complicated
Yeah.
because the story is about it's about a single mother that has
Hmm.
a kid that is sick, and they're going to travel to find a sorcerer, a shaman. We call it shaman. These people that help others with medicine, alternative medicine. So it's
Hmm.
about this, and it's about to tell how far we go to save the people we love. That's La Puerta Verde.
That's the story. Okay. And you mentioned that it was going to be difficult because it's working with kids. What are some of the challenges of working with kids?
I think the challenge of working with kids is like they can be very spontaneous, but at the same time, I mean, if they hate you, they're gonna say, "I'm not gonna do it," because they're
Yeah.
kids. It's like if they sign a contract or something like that. I think it's the most important thing is like you have to go along with them. You have to create this special thing that you are making a game all around
Hmm.
this process, and they're going to enjoy what they are doing. So it's right now. I mean, as maybe I mean I just jumped. We are in the final process of finding the main role of the kid.
Hmm.
We start this casting maybe like 2 months ago in this
Hmm.
fucking pandemic that it's becoming more and more complicated because we start the casting virtual, and
Hmm.
after that we decide to see 45 kids, and
Hmm.
right now we have 13 final. So I mean, we are still finding the right kid to shoot.
Okay. So it's just the main part missing. You have everything else set.
Yes, yes.
Okay, okay. And you also mentioned you've been working on this story for 10 years and there's been a lot of drastic changes. So you first wrote it for Bosnia. Was it in the Bosnian language? And then you switched it?
No, I mean, I don't speak Bosnian pretty well. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
so I decided to write it in English, but
Mm-hmm.
the story happens in Sarajevo, and they were two
Mm-hmm.
kids that they were trying to find a healer in the middle
Mm.
of Bosnian forest. So I decided to change it to one single mother instead of two kids. One single mother that has a kid, and they are making this trip to find a healer in the forest of Chihuahua, that it's in the north of
Mm-hmm.
Mexico, where I'm right now. So I mean, it's 10 years, but during these 10 years, maybe I kind of decide to hide the story for 5 years. So I mean, if I counted, I mean exactly, because I think like as a author or as a writer or director, you're always thinking in your stories. Uh, Maybe sometimes, I mean, you decide to give some time. So I decided to put it like in another place, La Puerta Verde, and I was working in the short films, advertising, and all that. So it's
Mm-hmm.
been 2 years since I decided to get back to the project, and during these two years I've been getting all this finance and all these fundings that it's going to make real my first film to shoot
Mm-hmm.
next February, like in 3 months.
In
We're
three
gonna start.
months, pretty soon,
Yeah,
pretty soon.
really.
But what was the reason behind you changing it from being this, I guess, English speaking story based in Bosnia and now in a completely different country and culture?
You know, I'm honestly, Bosnia and Mexico has a very similar way of being. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
when you come to Mexico, Benjamin, you will see like Bosnian people and in general Balkan people are very similar to Latin people.
Mm-hmm.
We have like a lot of connections, like the humor. The people love to drink, they love to party. They I mean, we come from a countries that we don't have enough money maybe to make a lot of things, but that's I mean that doesn't matter. I mean, we use more the creativity that how we're gonna make that stuff. So
Mm-hmm.
that's why we are very connected. So of course, all the time because I was studying there, I don't speak Bosnian, but I speak English. So I was thinking Spanish. I was translated to English, and then I decided to come back to my country. Like 8 years ago, I came back to my country,
Mm-hmm.
and then I decided to adapt it to Mexico.
Okay, okay. And it's very interesting what you mentioned that both in Mexico and Bosnia we have very little resources when it comes to cinema, I suppose, or culture in general. I don't know the exact situation in Mexico, but this is why it's very impressive the fact that you managed to get as much money as you did. So, like, how did you collect that big pot of money from which it wasn't from one source, I assume?
No, no. I mean, of course. I mean, it wasn't for one source. We apply. I mean, as all filmmakers, we have to apply and apply and apply to contests. And it's. I mean, it's every single day we receive like the news that you are not selected. You know.
Mm-hmm.
So I think you have to be very, very stubborn, and you have to continue trying. I mean, if you want to make it, you have to continue try it. And I say at the beginning, it's like when you write something, you never know when it's gonna happen. I mean, of
Mm-hmm.
course, everyone wants to happen like in a year, but the timing of a film to since you're a writer to get produced and to shoot and distribute, it's between 3 and 4, 5 years,
Mm.
especially in countries like because we are not like in US, like you get like a lot of money very instantly. So I decided to apply to a contest that is the Mexican Film Fund,
Mm-hmm.
and I got. So I was very very happy because from I think we applied like 120 people and we got selected only 9 people.
Oh,
So I
wow.
got that fund last year, and
Mm-hmm.
so I still not believe it because it's been like 1 year and a half since I got it. That they didn't send me any money,
Mm-hmm.
because they don't release the money until you get the rest of the money of the film.
Aha.
So it was very stressful because it's like everyone say like, oh, you got Mexican Film Fund and it's a lot of money, and I say yes, but they haven't given me not even 1 peso. It's like it was horrible in pandemia. Like Like they say, okay, he's one of the winners of Mexican Film Fund, but I didn't have any money. So it was very, very stressful. You know,
Hmm.
I got my first paycheck 2 days ago after one
Ah,
year and a half.
wow.
1 year and a half, and they give it to you by parts. So they gave the first one of five. Because
Hmm.
during all this time, I start applying to another fund that it's
Hmm.
called Efficine. This is, maybe you have it there in Copenhagen. It may it's about like the companies give you the taxes, so the
Hmm.
taxes go to support the film industry. But also, it's a very big competition because everybody wants to apply and all that. So we got the fund last July,
Hmm.
and the good thing of this fund is like after 10 days that you got announced that you are one of the winners, they deposit you the whole fund. So right now, I mean, I have money to start making all this pre-production of the film.
Hmm.
And during all this year, also we got another fund that it's called Ekanaweame.
Hmm.
It's a regional. So we apply and we got it also. So actually, the movie has like three funds.
Three funds so far, but they're all Mexican. It's not like an international production from different countries. It's a Mexican primary.
It's a Mexican primary, but we had a French co-production because
Hmm.
my producer from France, we got
Hmm.
selected in the Paris Rencontres. Well, I don't know how to say it very well in French, but it's this co-production meetings in Paris last
Hmm.
year. I was in October, so we closed a co-production with a French producer.
Okay, so the way it works is essentially you get, for example, you have no money, you apply for a fund, and they say, yes, you will get money, but they won't give you anything. It's just like a assurance that on paper you have this money, but they have to wait for you to get all the pot for the entire budget before they actually start handing out the money.
It's true. And between that, I signed this contract with this company of friends that they are applying to international funds. So we are
Hmm.
still applying to another funds. So you have this contract with them. We have a contract with a distributor in France that the
Hmm.
name is Epicenter Films. And we sign also a contract with the government that
Hmm.
they have
Hmm.
money because they fucking pandemic and they are giving like a lot of excuses.
Hmm.
And we have another contract with a very big production company in the north of Mexico that they are going to put the camera and all that. So I mean, it's a long process when it's
Hmm.
your first, but I think
Yeah.
I mean, what it helps to me is like I'm very stubborn. I
Hmm.
mean, all the time that they tell me no, I say why not? It's
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
there are thousand ways of say yes in different language that I'm gonna try to find the language that fits in my films. So I'm very used. Like they say no, it's not possible, and I
Mm.
say okay, let's make it possible. So believe me, it's been a long process. Sometimes it's very stressful,
Hmm.
but and I mean I'm happy I'm here.
Yeah.
And we're gonna make a film. Even in
Yeah.
pandemia, even in pandemia, we're gonna make a film.
Yeah, and that leads me to the next question. You've already waited 10 years, you've already had all these complications, and now there's a world pandemic. Like, how has your film been affected by the coronavirus?
Well, it's been affected a lot because, for example, the castings that we were planning to make it, in real life, we
Mm.
decided to make it virtual first.
Mm-hmm.
So then we have this small selection of kids. Well, it was not that small. We have 45. So we decide to follow the rules of pandemia. So we have only one kid. We have, to sanitize, or sorry for my English. I haven't speak English a long time. So we have to clean all this shit, and then we have the next kid. So it takes more time in
Mm-hmm.
everything. Maybe that's why it's gonna be affecting us because I mean the shooting is going to be complicated because I wanted in the north of Mexico. a place that it's very, very cold. It's very particular because
Mm-hmm.
it's connected with Bosnia. I mean, the streets of the place are kind of like a mountains, and we have snow. It's one of the only places in Mexico that we have snow because everybody thinks that Mexico it's sunny and we
The
are in the beach.
warm, yes.
I don't know, smoking, all that, but we have different places because Mexico is huge.
Mm.
So this place it's complicated. It's also I have some narcos cartels around, but I don't
Oh.
worry about it because I come from all this. So it's a lot of complications,
Mm.
especially because the people, my crew, they are not from this area of Mexico,
Mm-hmm.
and also we have pandemia, so and we have a kid that is non-actor, so
Mm-hmm.
it's a big risk. I mean, I know it is, and I'm sure about it. But as I say to my producer Clementine, I told her like we can't stop, we
Mm-hmm.
can't. So of course it's affecting us because the budget, part of the budget, it will go to cover all these expenses of the pandemic, of all these things that we didn't know we were going to be affected, but now we have to pay, the test. We have to
Mm-hmm.
make another stuff. But anyway, we're going on. We are
Yeah,
going.
yeah. It sounds like the pattern of behavior that has made you succeed this much is your persistence. The fact that no is not enough for you, like even in the pandemic or even in the applying of things. So like you've been pretty persistent in this whole process, it seems.
And you know what? Also, Benjamin, it's like, for example, the budget of my film in
Mm.
Mexico, it's low budget,
Oh yeah.
because we have a lot of big productions. Like in Mexico, there's some kind of new wave of cinema that
Mm-hmm.
they to copy the American style, like the romantic style, like
Mm-hmm.
these comedies that they are horrible, but they're produced one by one by one, and they are super budgets. I don't know, they
Mm-hmm.
are like 3 4 times the budget I have,
Mm-hmm.
but the Mexican government just cut all the funds for
Mm-hmm.
culture. Actually, the fund that I want, it doesn't exist anymore. They
Mm-hmm.
decide, and it's horrible. So more than ever, I'm more stubborn to show that the money that they gave me, it's gonna become a good film. So I
Mm-hmm.
tell everybody, all my crew, all around, like we are living a very complicated time. Like there is no work, there is like a lot of people dying,
Mm-hmm.
and more than ever, we have to make a very good film. So of what it became like a small budget film. I mean, for
Mm-hmm.
me, a big production. So I have to make it the best way ever right
Yeah,
now.
the best way possible. That's true. But what happens now if somebody, for example, is just getting into film and they wonder, okay, I have this idea. How could you summarize the process behind having an idea and actually convincing people to get you money for it? Like, what's the process and structure behind how you did it in this case?
I think like the process is very simple.
Mm.
You have to have passion of what you're doing,
Mm-hmm.
especially if it's your first film. And what it always help a lot is like the story. In my case, I mean, every director is very different from each other. But in my case, what it helps is like the story is connected with the death of my father.
Mm-hmm.
So every time that I write or that I show my project to a businessman, because I'm also getting money from private sources. It's
Mm-hmm.
like they see that I'm connected like in a very personal way.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
what I will recommend to new filmmakers is like
Mm-hmm.
if you write something and if you want to make a film, I mean for the first time at least, it has to be connected with you, and you have to show all your passion,
Mm-hmm.
and all the things are coming like automatically, like the
Mm-hmm.
fun, like the people that surrounds you, because you have to you have to share that energy to your crew,
Mm-hmm.
and they will follow you. I mean, they will follow a crazy guy that wants to film in pandemia. It's like,
Yeah.
but you have to show it. It's like, I brought my cat here with me, so it's
Yeah.
like. They always know that. I mean, I'm traveling with my cat. I mean, you have to be you. That's what I
Yeah.
always tell. Because a lot of people ask me like, what is the formula? And I say, just be you. I mean, they always say you will find your style. Of course, you will
Hmm.
find your style of filming years by years. But I mean, you always have your essence, who you are.
Hmm.
If you who you are, I mean, you're unique, and
Yeah.
that makes you special for sure.
Yeah, that's very well said. That's very well said. And well, in terms of if you don't know anybody, what's also your process behind, let's say, networking? How do you get in touch with producers or key people in your life that can help you make this movie?
Just asking. It's like
Hmm.
knocking doors. For example, I studied in Bosnia, and when I came
Hmm.
back to Mexico, I knew anyone.
Hmm.
Anyone like in terms of film. I mean, maybe I met some people in Sarajevo, or I went to Cannes as a student, and I met
Hmm.
some Mexican filmmakers there. So when I came back here, I start writing them like, I'm back to Mexico, and I mean, I would like to have a coffee with you. And a lot of people I met in other countries, I mean, they never answered me, because they
Hmm.
were very busy, they were more famous and all that. So I mean, it didn't stop me. So
Hmm.
I create a documentary that it got selected in some film festivals.
Hmm.
So start making the networking. And even so, if you haven't created anything, I mean, it's very, what it helps a lot of people, it's like they start following, people you admire, some writers, some producers. And I mean, as I say, you have to ask for an opportunity. I mean,
Hmm.
they probably will tell you no, but if you write to 50 people, at least one is going to tell you, okay, let's grab a coffee, you know?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And
Right,
this.
because people tell me I didn't study cinema. That doesn't matter. I mean,
Mhm.
doesn't matter. But if this is your passion, you're gonna make it for sure.
Yeah, yeah. So you just sat there and wrote to hundreds of people probably over the past few years to meet them and talk to them about the project. Did you also go to like film festivals or events, or in which other ways could you connect?
I think you can connect like in everywhere. For
Hmm.
example, you're in a party and you are talking with some doctor, and you say like, "Oh, I'm a filmmaker, and I have this idea and all that." And this doctor, he works in oncology, for example, in
Hmm.
my case. And then he says, "Oh, maybe if you want, you can come to the hospital. I can show you more." So you start creating more and more because of this connection, and maybe he can tell you, I have a uncle that owns a company. Maybe you can go with him. So what I'm telling you is like connections are everywhere. It's like
Hmm.
sometimes it seems that we are sleeping. It's like we have to open our intuition, intuition, like
Hmm.
intuition.
Hmm.
Yeah, you have to open it, and you have. I'm not saying like you have to try to be like the center of attention every time. But
Hmm.
if you go to some place and you have a good connection with someone, believe me, that person could help you a lot.
Hmm.
For
Hmm.
example, days ago, I was talking with a friend that she's a nurse. And I mean, you would say what she's connected to film, nothing.
Hmm.
But it's connected a lot because I didn't know that she works in an oncology center. So
Hmm.
now she's gonna connect me with some pathologists because I'm very interested in filming the tumors. So it's like the doors are opening every time that you share your passion.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, it's good to think outside the box a little bit and understand that you don't have to specifically search for a producer or a actor or director. There's always people around that are gonna know somebody that might be connected to the film industry in some way. To not kind of shy away from talking to people that are not connected to the film industry. So you're very right about that. But now with this waiting time of like 10 years, what did you do to like keep up, let's say, finances? Like what kind of work did you do besides waiting for this project to be made? Did you freelance? Did you work for different companies, video companies, or?
I when I came back to Mexico, I started freelancing. I was working in production companies because when I came back, I became a film director. At
Mm-hmm.
the beginning, I worked as a publicist. I was working writing scripts and making this idea for advertising companies. So when
Mm.
I came back, as I tell you, I didn't know anyone.
Mm.
So I started applying to jobs in internet as everyone. They start having a lot of interviews. But the problem in Mexico is like when you work in a production company, they pay you like 3 months later.
Mm.
So it's horrible because Mexico City is very expensive, and even if they are going to pay you a lot, you have like 3 months of gaps. Like you start having a lot of debts and everything. So I saw that what producers, well, some producers do is like they only connect you with the client.
Mm-hmm.
That we came to the back team that we were talking, that they are just like, oh, they are friend of this owner of this company or these other things. And I say like, I can do that pretty well. So it's
Mm-hmm.
like I can offer my services directly. So I
Mm-hmm.
decided to create my production company that its name is Gatuno Films. We have 6 years with this company. And of course, sometimes we had good times, bad times. So I started making advertising by my company,
Mm-hmm.
advertising, documentaries, a lot of media stuff. So that's the way we've been surviving all these years. And as I say, sometimes you don't have not even money to pay the rent.
Mm-hmm.
But I was very stubborn at the same time working in this film, applying that finally we got it, and I hope that it's going to be the first film of a lot of films because
Mm-hmm.
I want to I want to create some small budget for my next film, and I will continue working in film.
Yeah, yeah. And what's your opinion about things like business cards, websites, show reels, and all of that stuff? Is this something that you think you should put a lot of focus into, or can you also have a movie funded without anything, just a good script?
Mm, Well, it's a hard question because a lot of people try to make a lot of advertising of the what you're gonna make, but you have to go back to the basis always. You have to have a good script.
Mm,
That's
mm,
going to make a good film because the story is everything. It doesn't matter if you had a lot like the best DOP, you have the best actor, but if you don't have a good story, you have nothing. For
mm-hmm,
example, all the funds that I got, they were based only on paper. I mean,
mm-hmm,
it's like we apply with the script, we apply with the director's letter, with the producer letter. We didn't have so many backgrounds. It's the first film,
mm-hmm.
so we got it because of the story. It's important to have, like the your visit card, but it's not essential. It's I
Yeah.
mean it's it doesn't make you a film director to have a visit
Mm-hmm.
card or a website. I have a lot of friends that they are so successful that they don't even know what is that.
Yeah.
Of course it helps you, but you have to you have to focus what you want to do. For example, the reel that I have of Gatuno Films, it's I showed what we done of cinema, but it's more focused maybe in advertising because we are
Mm-hmm.
looking to get clients, you know.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But applied to these funds, I have to create another reel that is more focused on my ability to direct actors, for example. So
Mm-hmm.
it's
Mm-hmm.
so
So
it's
you kind
it's
of keep the show reel of the companies is separate. That's for making money. That's for freelancing and all of that. But the rest is, just the script, just the idea, and it's completely separate from your company.
yes, I mean we are the same, but you have different goals
Mm.
because
Yeah.
sometimes some people they say, oh my god, but he's an advertiser. Maybe the film is gonna become so plastic. And some
Mm-hmm.
other clients is like, oh, he's an artist. He is not gonna sell the product. So you have to try to find a way.
Mm-hmm.
helps to me, as I always say, it's like we are all different. It's like I always show my clients that we have the ability to sell the project, I mean the product, but we have the, how do you say, like this sensibility or like the feeling of a filmmaker. So we're
Mm-hmm.
gonna do it like the best as possible.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And what would you tell a young filmmaker that, for example, has an idea and thinks that, okay, this is a good idea to me. I like this idea, but how do I know that it actually is a good idea? How do you make sure that you have a good script before you move on to the next level?
Well, it's, I mean, and that's also very complicated because you have to be very objective. What I tell to a lot of writers that they are starting, it's it's very, sometimes it's very hard to share your idea. So you
Mm-hmm.
have to share it just with the people that are going to help you to grow. Because a lot
Mm-hmm.
of, I mean, we all have different, we have different backgrounds and all that. So some people can't stop you. They could tell you like, "Oh no, this is so shitty and this is horrible," because maybe because you have a good idea and they envy you, and
Mm-hmm.
some other will tell you, "Oh, it's perfect," but they have no clue of this industry. So
Mm-hmm.
it's complicated. It's complicated to know when you are in the right way. I mean,
Yeah.
for for example, for me, with the Green Door, there is
Mm-hmm.
one filmmaker that I admire a lot, and we still continue very good friends. We've been working a lot. I'm not gonna tell her name, but
Mm-hmm.
she when she wrote my script a lot of years ago, she told me it was shit, and like that.
Uh-huh.
And
Uh-huh.
I'm not the kind of people that get depressed, but I felt so bad. And I
Mm.
one of the reasons that I decided to kind of hide my script for a few years, it was because of the opinion of her. That she
Mm.
told me, you are very talented, you have to go this way and all that. So I kind of start working in another idea and I just put it away. And in some moment of my life, I say, I mean, what the fuck? I mean, I like this idea. Of
Mm-hmm.
course, it needs some work. So I continue doing. I applied to other stuff, and last year she wrote me like because we are friends, as I say. I mean, I didn't take it personal.
Mm-hmm.
So she told me like, "Hey Memo, I mean, I want to read your script," and then she told me like, "Wow, I mean, you grow up and all," because ideas sometimes need timing.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Mm-hmm.
I would like to write a movie every month, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a genius like others.
Mm-hmm.
But it's very complicated to know when you are doing things right. I mean, you have to
Yeah.
be passionate. You have to continue going. It has to, you have to have something inside you, like telling you it's good. This is good. Of course, I need some work. For example, I applied to these script labs and all that. I got selected. I got an advisor, and the advisor helped me to develop a lot of stuff. I have
Mm-hmm.
very good professors like Elma Tataragic, Serjan Buletic in Bosnia, that
Mm-hmm.
they are always made me better. They gave me like the best advices, and thanks of them, all these people, my script is what it is right now. I mean, you cannot. I mean, at least not me. I couldn't do it by myself. I mean, I
Mm-hmm.
was listening professors, people that had that more experience, uh, and also try not to show my script to everyone. Also,
Mm-hmm.
like
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of directors that they always telling me like, "Oh, send me your script and all that," and sometimes I didn't feel like it's not because I don't want to share. It's because you are focusing in something that it's very personal. You are very sensitive. Like if some people sometimes of your lives telling you this is shit, it's going to affect you, and maybe it's going to stop you in the way.
Mm-hmm.
So right now, if I show you and someone told me shit, I say I don't give a fuck. I mean, it's
Now it
like
doesn't matter. Yeah, now it's fine.
the way I want to do it. But I mean, there are some moments in your life. So
Mm.
especially if you are pretty young, uh, this kind of, I don't know, like reactions are very common. Like you
Hmm.
feel like maybe this is not for me. Maybe maybe I have to be doing another stuff like a chef. I don't know.
Yeah.
But we came back to the first thing that I say. You have to be stubborn and you have to believe
Hmm.
in yourself.
Yeah, and it's like you said, it's you have to select kind of people that you can trust because you never know if somebody's opinion is good, if it's irrelevant, or like you said, maybe they're just envious and they're gonna give you bad feedback regardless. And also the
Yeah.
danger of sending it to too many people can make you really confused because their opinions could affect the way that you write it and you might change a little too much and the story will not be as much coming from the heart as it would have been if you just kept it to yourself for a while. Do you also have like a limit from like how many people do you send it to approximately to read?
No, I mean also, I mean, and all that's it, this what I'm saying. It's what it helps to me. I mean,
Hmm.
for example, I don't believe in this in all these things like I don't even know the name like Kickstarter.
Hmm.
This stuff like to get some funds. I don't believe it, me,
The
because
crowdfunding,
I'm
yeah.
because Fondeadora, all this shit.
Hmm.
Because it's like you make the project like common, like you give so many information to everyone, and you make people to participate. Like you start becoming like kind of to satisfy other people and not to satisfy you and your idea.
Hmm.
So it's good. Like people give you money, and maybe in some short films it's okay. Uh,
Hmm.
but I mean, of course, when you have the final result, they're gonna say like, "Oh, I give you 40 bucks," and that's not what I like. And you say, "Okay, you help me, but it's not your film." So people
Yeah.
start believing that it's their film, and that happened the same with the scripts. I could not tell you like send it to 3 people, send it to 20 people. I mean, it's like show it to the people that you trust, that you admire, and it, and also sometimes I share my script with friends that know
Hmm.
me, and they work in another stuff like they are engineers or
Hmm.
they work, I don't know, like in hospitals, because I mean they will give you a different feedback,
Hmm.
more I think human and objective feedback of what life
Audience feedback.
audience in general. So I
Mm.
try to like that with people that I trust a lot. I try to do it with my professors, people that I admire, and that I see their personality, that they want to make you to improve. Because there are some people that I admire, like Mexican filmmakers, but you see them and they always see you as a competition, and that's
Yeah.
horrible.
Yeah.
Because for example, right now I'm tutoring a young filmmaker, and I always give him my advices and all that. But for example, I don't see him as a competition. I want him to be better than me,
Hmm.
because that's an advisor has to be like, they want to make you to grow.
Hmm.
So it's complicated. It becomes, I think, with the intuition,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
you have to trust in yourself, in your story, and in who you are.
Yeah, that's very well said. And it sounds like a big challenge to be kind of, you have to be both conservative about your script, your idea, and what you want to make, at the same time as you're open minded about critical feedback that's actually important for the story. So it sounds really challenging, this like battle in your head to be conservative but also open minded at the same time to find the best possible result.
Yeah, so I mean, and this is only like the beginning. This is
Yeah.
only like the script, because when you start getting the funding, I mean, also you have to be very strong with your idea,
Mm.
because, for example, right now in the moment of my life that I have a lot of meetings with horrible businessmen that they say, okay, I give you this money, but you have to give me, I don't know, 20% of your film, or
Mm.
I want to put, for example, Coca-Cola. I haven't had any meetings with them, but for example, they could tell me like, but I want the actress to be drinking Coca-Cola in this film, like
Yeah.
every time. And you have to be honest to yourself. And I say no. For
Mm.
example, I prefer to have a real film, something that I've been working for a long time, something that I believe that my story is going to become like a video commercial or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Do you also
So
ever get, like, for example, producers or companies that say, okay, you can get this amount of money, but for example, that they, like in Hollywood, they decide the final cut?
not in my case, it's not gonna happen.
Mm.
But they start to kind of making suggestions to me. For example,
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, what do you think about this actor? And I say, no, I mean, I decide which actor I'm going to use. So the good thing in this film and the good thing of this long process of getting the funds and to write the script is like the producer of this film, the main producer, it's me.
Mm-hmm.
So all the money went to my bank account of the company. So even if they are investing a little bit, I mean, the final decision it's going to be mine.
Mm-hmm.
And I think like life is full of decisions. Life is a decision as itself. So sometimes I don't know if I'm taking the right or wrong decision, but it's a decision, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
going to
Mm-hmm.
go with that until the end,
Yeah.
and the end will be a movie.
Wow. Yeah, this has been some very good stuff, Memo, I have to say. It's been very good advice, especially for people who may not know how to even get started with the whole process. Is there anything that you would like to add, the spontaneously like this? Any kind of extra advice that you would like to give to filmmakers?
Well, just to follow your dreams. If your dreams is to make films, you're gonna make it for sure. I mean, sooner or later, you are gonna make it. And don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to talk to people, to talk to investors, to apply. Don't be afraid to trust in yourself. Like sometimes in moments of our lives, we are afraid of show who we are. Just be
Mm-hmm.
yourself. Be you, and you're gonna make it. And that's it.
Yeah, that's excellent, Memo. Thank you very much.
Thank.
I'm gonna end the stream here, but we can continue beyond the call and we can keep talking. Okay.
Okay. Gracias.
All right.
From
It's been
Mexico.
nice talking to you. Bye.
Yeah. Bye.